what truth of God has become more real to me over time of studying the Word is there's a lot of them, but I guess it's really coming to a point of understanding His love in greater depth. Just about the time you think you got God figured out, you suddenly realize you don't have God figured out. There's more than you could even possibly imagine. And I think the depth of His love just literally sometimes blows me away when I really stop to think about how much He loves us, He loves me personally. And there are times that I look at my own life and I think, well, what's lovely about me? What could God possibly love about me? And yet even in the moments when I feel the most unlovely, He still does love me. And the more I study the Word, again, the more I see that depth of love. Well, I think my relationship with God flowed pretty normally, like anyone else would go through. There were times when we struggled. I particularly struggled with different issues, different problems in ministry, and sometimes praying for a long, long period of time, wanting to see an answer and seeming like the answer would not come, and then all of a sudden it would, but there would be times of doubt. I think one of the greatest things that, for me personally, but I hear this from other pastors as well, is I can assure you that if there was any arrogance or pride when I went into ministry, especially as a pastor, it's pretty well knocked all of that out. Because if you can pastor a church and be an arrogant person, you got some serious issues. I can only assure you of that. I think pastoral ministry humbles you, and you begin to realize that it is not your strength, it's not your ability, and so it forces you to rely completely on the Lord. And there's been so many times where I found myself in situations where I just have to stop at that moment and whisper a prayer, I need your help. I can't do this by myself, or I don't know what to say to this individual for the circumstances they're in. I need an answer, and I need it now. What should I say to them? And so the Lord I've seen Him provide that over and over again, that wisdom that I needed at the moment, just direct answers to prayer of what to say to someone to enable or help them through a particular period of time in their life, or even having experienced it myself, and then be able to sit there and relate to them my experience as I walked through it, and how I found God to be a strength, even in those times when your faith is a bit rocky. Well, I think God's faithfulness to me personally has just been seen in over these 40 years of ministry, and especially over 30 years of pastoral ministry at the same church. I've seen the desire to stay, and even when times when it wasn't comfortable to stay, but yet I knew that God wasn't releasing me to go, and beginning to understand how faithful He is to us as a race, a human race, and He doesn't just write us off or destroy us out of hand even when we fail Him. And understanding His faithfulness to us has caused me to understand what faithfulness really means. There are two Hebrew words, and Hebrew was my language of choice and study, but there's two Hebrew words, the words emet and chesed. Emet is truthfulness or consistency to what you say, and chesed is loving kindness. It is love that goes beyond your feelings and emotions. It's love that just expressed no matter what you feel. And those are two words that are constantly tied together in the Old Testament especially in the prophets. You see those words, emet and chesed, tied together throughout the Old Testament. And understanding how the two concepts of this consistent love that God has caused me to understand the kind of love and consistent love that I have to have for people, sometimes even when they're not real lovely. But you have to love them anyway, and you got to love them beyond whatever offensiveness or whatever cantankerous attitudes they might have, whatever that may be. You've got to love them. And I have seen people change. As I have changed toward God, I've seen people change in attitude as you treat them faithfully and you treat them honestly and fairly. And not everybody has the same sense of fairness. Not everybody has the same sense of what's right or wrong. But just dealing with them the best you can out of the best honor that you have, and expressing the depth of love that God has expressed in my life, I try to pour back into others and be as forgiving toward them. Is there an experience that God's love or mercy became real? Yeah, there is. I'm not so sure how much I want to share of it, but there was a time when I found myself more angry than I've ever been in my life. Having to walk through that time of tremendous anger, learning how to cope with that anger and deal with the situations, and learning to forgive. And I will tell you that even to this day, there are times when that situation comes back to mind and I find myself getting uptight. And I have to go back to that truth that I have forgiven that person for what happened, and I have to relate to the fact that God forgave me. And in the tremendous forgiveness He has given to me, I have to now in turn give that to someone else. But I do have to sometimes capture my thought and bring them under control and say, I just can't let this feeling get out of hand or take dominance over my life, because I'm the one that ultimately suffers for that. So I think that experience and learning how to understand God's forgiveness, at least to some degree, and how then now I have to also forgive, has been probably one of the most powerful shaping experiences for me. You know, 69 years old, I would have never thought about death before. And I'm at a point in my life where I realize, the days are numbered. I know that I'm not as old as a lot of people are, but you get to a point when you begin to realize that, you've gone through this to this point of life and you've experienced all of this, and I'm not in any hurry to die, but at the same time, I have a sense that I know beyond any doubt whatsoever that God is with me right now, that He has spared me and kept me to this point. But when that moment does come, I know without any question in my heart whatsoever that I'll be in His presence forever. And that really just brings a sense of amazing peace. It takes all fears of the future away, and seeing His hand work so powerfully that there just is no fear, no worry, no concern. In fact, through all the turmoil that our nation's been through in this political season and all the craziness has gone on, and the one thing that has just really stood out to me during this time has been that, no one man is my Lord. There's only one Lord, and that is Jesus Christ. He's the one that I really only can trust. So all others are going to fail, but He will never fail. He just brings that sense of peace and comfort and strength and confidence. So no matter what the future is, I can honestly say I fear nothing. I stand in the absolute peace that He gives. Well, the one truth that I think that I know and I have seen firsthand is mercy. I think a lot of people don't understand the incredible mercy of God. Over the years of being a long-term pastor, I've had a lot of people that maybe at one time came to the church and then for whatever reason quit coming and then one day would walk in and they would look at me and they say, well, is the roof going to fall in if I walk in? I say, absolutely not. God is merciful, and He's just glad you're here today, and it's just that concept of His mercy. He's not looking for an opportunity to destroy us. He's looking for us to receive what He's extending to us, and that's His love and His mercy. Even in their doubts, even in their struggles, and maybe even at times, and I've seen this too, in anger, open your heart and let God be merciful to you. Let Him show you how much He really does love you and care about you. And I think sometimes that's probably the root of a lot of bitterness. We just think that God really doesn't like us, or something about us, or something we've done that has angered Him or made Him mad. That's never true. And His mercy is always powerful, effective, and real if we'll just open our hearts and let Him do what He will. And that does take some responsibility on our part. We've got to engage. I think that's one of the bigger things too that I've also learned in relationship with God, that I have to engage in this relationship. I can't just sit back and float along and hope it all works. But I have to engage in the relationship and become a part of that relationship as well. So if I want a relationship with Him, I've got to seek Him, but He promises that if I seek Him, He will be found. And that I found overwhelmingly true throughout my life.